So for the first part of sketching Spidey or the Tobey Maguire Spidey, which is the half part Spiderman and half part Tobey Maguire, or you can also say that Tom Holland. The first thing that we have to focus on the main thing that we have to focus is that which method we use while sketching or while starting a sketch or a portrait. That is, there are two different sketches, or the main things like you can go directly or you can use a grid method. I personally use grid method for every sketches that I make, and you can go directly too. But the main problem while using a direct method while sketching any portrait is that if you go directly, or if you are a new or beginner artist, and if you will go directly for sketching, the main problem you will face is that one eye will look like 1 centimeter, second eye will look like 1.2 centimeter or anything, so that you don't know how to use measurements, how to do more sketches. So you can go directly after 50 or 100 sketches, you can go directly to. But if you are a beginner, or if I say that if you are advanced artist too, you can use a grid method in every levels. Like if you want to make a small sketch from a bigger reference picture, you can use grid method. You can also use grid method for making small sketches into bigger one also. So there are multiple options while using grid method. So while using sketch of Spidey, I have used grid method, and the dimensions are vertically 19 boxes and horizontally there are 11 boxes. I have used A3 drawing paper. You can also use ivory sheets or any drawing papers. I personally don't use any high scale or upgraded versions of drawing papers, because I prefer that not every artist know how to use papers and GSM papers like 110 GSM, 200 GSM, like the depth of papers. Not every artist know that. So use any paper, just use smaller and directional method, or the basics are the most important thing for sketching any portraits. So after dimensions, after I have given dimensions, the one box like there are 19 boxes in vertical, right? So one box is equal to 1.5 centimeter. So of course every squares will be 1.5 centimeter squares like areas. So particular same way you can use this technique for me using a grid method. And if you still don't know how to use a grid method, just comment down below. I will make another portrait or any examples or the main step-by-step tutorial for how to use a grid method. Just comment down below. I will make another tutorial for you all. I will also upload the same real-time sketches like 4 and 5 hours, how I use pencil, how I shade, or how I use every part of sketches, how I pressurize every parts, like how I erase, how I blend. You can use these techniques, and you can see how I use these techniques in my second channel, which is Shwet Sketches 2.0. I have given link in my description box, so you can check out from there also, where I upload full real-time sketches like 8 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours sketches, so that you can see how I have drawn in particular. But for this particular sketch, the main thing about the half part and the right part is that so many reference pictures I have seen that it is particular Spidey's main costume or the main face of Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland, or anyone. But I have seen this particular portrait on internet where the both pictures like Tobey Maguire's half face and the Spidey's costume were blended. So I have just used the same technique that I have used in my previous videos also for sketching this portrait also. But the main thing about this sketch, or the main difference of this sketch and every other portraits, is that there is a blending of skin texture and the costume, because it is an edited reference picture. But the main thing is that this edited reference picture also a high resolution picture. And I have also discussed in my every previous videos on my every tutorials that how important the full resolution picture is. So we'll discuss the full resolution picture's main advantages in the second part, but for this particular main part of the first part, the right hand side part of the Spidey's costume, you will see there are smaller straight lines which are the outlines of the main costume of Spidey, you can see that the black lines, those are not the particular black lines, but those are the blends of yellow and black. Those are making the outlines of the sketches of particular Spidey's costume. So for making those blacker parts, you can also use 10B pencil, but I will recommend that use charcoal pencil. And using a charcoal pencil, you can give more black and depth parts, because the center part of the Spidey, which is the red part, is not much light or not brighter, but on the mid tone, not completely white, not completely black also, but is in a mid tone. So if you want to make a difference between those black lines and the middle part of those red part of the Spidey's costume, you have to use charcoal pencil, which is the darkest one. But those are those two small lines, so if you want to make those smaller lines, you have to sharpen your charcoal pencils up to too small level. But the main problem while using charcoal pencil is that you have to sharpen it every 5 or 6 strokes. But the main thing is that after you will sharpen your charcoal pencil after 5 or 6 strokes, it will break easily. Or if you don't know how to use charcoal pencil or how to use blades while sharpening your charcoal pencil, just comment down below. I will make a tutorial how to sharpen your charcoal pencil. But you have to sharpen your charcoal pencils after 5 or 6 strokes, because after 5 or 6 strokes the nib or the tip of the charcoal pencils just gets flatter, and you have to use those smaller details. You can see the graphite is more structured and more powerful as compared to charcoal pencil, because charcoal pencil are just another part of the powder of charcoal, but graphites are more stronger as compared to charcoal pencil. So you have to use the charcoal pencils easily, but for using a graphite pencil, you can easily sharpen it using the common sharpeners that you have. If you don't use blades for sharpening your charcoal pencil, it will not be sharpened easily. And if you are under 12 or 13 year age, just tell your parents or anyone more age from you, so that you can use blades for sharpening your charcoal pencils. Now as you can see, the left part, which is the Tobey Maguire's part, the face or the forehead face, you can use, or I have always told you in my previous part also, that for the first layer, go for first layer, base layer, first layer, second layer. And if you see the more and more darker parts, you can go for third layer also. But for this particular area, which is blending part, there are 3 parts. First is Spidey's costume, center part, which is blending part, and the third part which is the Tobey Maguire's part. So of course Tobey Maguire's forehead is little bit more, skin tone is little bit more brightened, so use 2B pencil as a base layer. Just use any blending stump, earbud or any other thing that you can use for blending those parts. Just blend it and see where the darker parts are. So the center part, which is the blending part or the most important part, which is blending of costume, and the Tobey Maguire's face skin texture is the most important part of this particular portrait. So you have to keep on focusing on the center part, because from the darker part the editing is going to lighter part on the right hand side of the Tobey Maguire. So keep on focusing. Base layer, use 2B pencil, then go for 3B pencil, which is more darker, and for the center part use 4B pencil and use blending stump, or you can also use brushes for brightening or more and more detailed part of the forehead. This was a high resolution picture, so I can see more and more details. We will focus, or we will discuss on the second part, how to use a full resolution picture. But for this particular part, the eye, which is the bigger part of the costume of the Spidey, there was a small part on the center which is complete white, but the remaining parts are just shadows. So how to make those shadows? So for that I have used charcoal powder and brush. For the base layer, I've just used powder and just rub it. I have rubbed it on the part which are the eye part, and I will rub the remaining parts which are the lighter ones afterwards. You can see a little bit dust and not looking good, but we will see on second part how we will use those lighter and brighter parts using a mono eraser. and using the same eraser we will see how I can make difference between higher parts and lower parts
So that was all for this tutorial. If you have learned something from this video, subscribe and drop a like. And comment down your question and queries regarding this tutorial. Meanwhile, take care of your loved ones too. Have an artistic day. Tattoos.